ultimately, these boundaries should be accommodating your life, your lifestyle, your schedule, your mental health, your wellness, your well-being. So do what you need to do to maintain a quality life. Breathe, everything is going to be okay. Welcome back to Transaction Care, the #1 real estate show you will ever come across on these internet webs. My name is Lillian Hernandez, your resident care coordinator, and this is Transaction Care, where we demystify the process of real estate through real estate hacks, tips, encouraging words, and all that good stuff. So if that applies to you or if that intrigues you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Your time is worth it. I truly appreciate it. The fact that you opened the app, looked for me, found me, saw me on your scrolling through your timeline, and you said, yes, I'm gonna hit play. My heart, I appreciate you so much. So with all that said, let's get into today's episode. How to set boundaries. Now, I'm sure this is a topic we can all relate to, whether you're a transaction coordinator like myself, an entrepreneur like myself as well, or just someone out there in the world that has either had to set boundaries or is still learning how to set boundaries. Wherever you fit in that spectrum, you are at the right place right now. Okay, so the first tip I want to provide is to set boundaries with yourself. I think it's very important to know and understand how you operate in certain situations. What are your deal breakers? What are you willing to compromise in certain situations? How have you set your hours? How have you set your lunch breaks? How have you communicated when you're taking time off? All of those situations and scenarios require some sort of boundaries or additional communication in order for everyone to continue to run business smoothly and effectively. If you are a transaction coordinator like myself and you're trying to set boundaries with a realtor or with a broker, escrow, whoever it may be, you want to have a set scope of work in written form. That's just my personal opinion. Oftentimes when you give these, or what you should be doing is emailing these to your customers, your clients, just so there's a paper trail, so they don't turn around and say that you never mentioned this to them. You can always reference that email, even the text message, but I would prefer email, to be honest, as a paper trail. So you want to have a scope of work set in place that, just describes exactly what you do, when you do it. I work from 9 to 5. I take a lunch break between 12 and 1. Of course, that's flexible depending on the hours that you set. If you're an entrepreneur doing this, then you set your own hours, and maybe you don't want to tell people what your hours are because maybe your days are flexible and they just fluctuate. You get what I mean? Like when sellers have to disclose information about a property, you want to disclose information about yourself. Once you've realized, okay, these are my boundaries, these are my hard no's, these are my deal breakers, then let me communicate that to whoever I'm going to be working with. So that way, when I say, no, I can't do that, or no, that's not in my scope of work, you can always go back to that document or that email that you sent and reference it. And then you can either choose to continue to work together or compromise. Because sometimes, depending on the situation, the person, the group of people you're working with, you may be willing to adjust some of the boundaries. But keep in mind, this is my next tip. Once you break one of your boundaries, be prepared for that to be the new rule, or the new way of them thinking that's how you work. So just tread lightly when you're doing favors, meaning if your hours are 9 to 5, and it's fine if you're still working, like work as many hours as you need to get the job done. But if my communication hours where you have access to me are from 9 to 5, and occasionally you let a couple phone calls come in around 6, 7 p.m. while you're at dinner, you're at home cooking dinner, you're cleaning, you're napping, taking care of the family, whatever the case may be, just be wary of when those boundaries are loosened, because sometimes people will take advantage of that. So another healthy and or good way of setting boundaries up front and early is, honestly, this is the best advice I had received from my business coach, and she said to schedule an alignment call. So if you're hiring a new client or you're in the interview stages and whatnot, and you're not sure what their work style is or if it would mesh with yours, have an alignment call. Set some time and ask them, how often do you need to speak to me? How often do you need updates? How are we going to communicate? These are my hours. These are the days I work. Because that's another thing to keep in mind, is that if you work Monday through Friday, Monday through Wednesday, Wednesday to Monday, some people work weekends, some people don't. You really have to establish that up front, because if you're working in real estate and if you're watching this as a transaction coordinator, if you don't establish that you don't work on the weekends, you will get calls, you will get emails with them expecting you to reply to those. And as I mentioned earlier about boundaries being broken, or, oh, it's just this one time, right? Let me just take this one call while I'm at dinner with the family. It's going to spiral out of control, especially when you've never established those when you've never had those upfront conversations with your customers and or clients, telling them that, hey, this is when I work, this is when I'm available, because it can spiral out of control. And next thing you know, you're working around the clock 24/7. And honestly, that's just not a healthy way of living. It's not a good quality of life. So this is why it's important to set boundaries early and often. And you'll notice a lot of good entrepreneurs will do that right away. So whether you're the one setting them or someone telling you these are their boundaries, it's going to happen regardless. And you'll learn to adjust, and some boundaries will work, some will not. As I mentioned earlier, you'll become a little bit more flexible with whatever it is that you need to change or pivot and fix. So it's totally up to you on how you want your business to be run. But ultimately, I think it's very important to set boundaries as early and often as possible, so that you're not breaking your back just to get something done that isn't even that urgent. Okay, so another boundary that I have found is so crucial is establishing that this is a work-related only relationship. We only talk about work. We are not friends. We are colleagues. You are a part of my network, my community. You are a client. You are a customer. Because I've run into situations where some agents have gotten a little bit too comfortable, not in an inappropriate way, but more so of, hey, let me tell you about my weekend, when honestly we just didn't have that type of friendship or rapport. At least I didn't think so. I tend to give off a very friendly, open energy. So I've gotten that a lot, but I've had to learn over the years to say, hey, that's great to hear. If there's anything else you need help with regarding your transaction, your file, I'd be glad to help, but I have another call on the other line waiting for me, or I have a meeting in 5 minutes that I need to prepare for. So if you'd like to discuss your file any further, please let me know. I will follow up with you after my next meeting. So you get the idea. You want to, if you see this conversation kind of veering in that direction of them getting into their personal lives, I'm not a fan of mixing business with pleasure, work related friendships and things like that. I think it can get a little messy, and sometimes that turns into, oh, can you just check this one thing for me real quick. And an excuse a lot of realtors like to use is, oh, I'm not at my computer, can you check this for me? Oh, I'm not at my computer, can you DocuSign this for me? And some things are within our scope of work, as I mentioned earlier, but some things are not, especially when you are not being paid for that request, as I mentioned earlier as well, it just turns into a snowball effect where it just gets bigger and bigger. The requests become more frequent. They become more, because realtors don't have a set schedule. And that's no disrespect to them, because that's the life they chose. But as transaction coordinators, this is the life we chose. And if you choose to work 24/7, the same schedule as them, that's on you. But the way I operate, I have a set of hours that I let people know early and upfront, and it's respected. And when it's not, that's when I have to start making moves of, am I going to continue working with this person, or is this the last deal we're working on and then I'm moving on and I'm done? And I've done both. I've stayed too long and I've gotten out quick. So my motto now is fire fast, hire slow. So keep that in mind when you're going through this whole process, whether you're on the hiring end, the firing end, or looking to be hired. And those are just a few tips that I would like to offer you guys. I hope those help you in your journey, whether you're an entrepreneur, a realtor, a transaction coordinator, or someone that has nothing to do with real estate but just needed to know how to set boundaries. I hope these tips have helped you. Ultimately, these boundaries should be accommodating your life, your lifestyle, your schedule, your mental health, your wellness, your well-being. So do what you need to do to maintain a quality life. Breathe. Everything is going to be okay. A part of having boundaries is also just having boundaries with yourself and knowing what's going to feed your soul in order for you to operate at the highest level that you are capable of providing, of service, of kindness, of love, whatever it is you are providing. Whatever areas in your life that you are not willing to sacrifice in order to achieve that, stick with it. I guarantee your life will be so much better. So I hope these tips helped you and will help you, or have helped you. Either way, I would love to hear your stories in the comments below, where your boundaries were disrespected, where your boundaries were overstepped, or maybe you're in the process of creating new boundaries, or maybe you're going to apply some of these tips that I've just provided for you in this latest episode. Whatever the case may be, I would love to hear from you. I want to build a community together of fellow TCs, entrepreneurs, real estate related industry people. We are a community. You are my people. I am your people. And once again, my name is Lillian Hernandez. This show is all about real estate and demystifying the buying and or selling process through real estate hacks and tips and information based on my personal experience. I've been in this industry for 15 plus years, and I thought it was just time to share what I've learned with you, so you don't have to crawl. You can just sprint and get to the point and have that thriving business that you work so hard to start and maintain. So with all of that said, your time is worth it. Oh, but before I go, drop a comment, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, hit that like button. Please share my content. Also, follow me on all social media platforms. I am on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. I drop exclusive content on all 5 of these platforms. So wherever you frequent the most, I'm there. Please message me, say hello. I found you on YouTube. I would love to know this about a transaction coordinator, or this about business. I'm your girl. Let me know. I would love to meet you, connect, and possibly collaborate one of these days. So with all that said, I thank you so much for watching another episode of Transaction Care. My name is Lillian Hernandez, and your time is worth it. Let's coordinate.